Thank you to all of you for joining us today. I really am happy to see so many people, and to our online visitors, I hope the feed is actually working well. Um, so to start with, I thought why I'm actually doing this and to give you an introduction as to that. As Tammy mentioned, I am a neurologist. I look at brain health, how to keep the brain healthy, and more than that also what we have within our traditions and our cultures to actually support that. And many years ago, it was 1993, was the first time I saw Pops Mohamed play at the Grahamstown Arts Festival. I was a first-year medical student, and it was the first time I had seen the Mbira being played at a concert venue. And I think it's one of those experiences that just shifted my perception and my consciousness on a very subtle level. It's only years later, looking back on it, that I can say that's what it actually did. Because I remember thinking, or maybe I've made up that memory, but I do remember thinking that why haven't I seen this being played before? Why am I not listening to this on radio stations? But as I went through my medical degree, in particular neurology and more so even brain health, I realized that it's not just for these musical instruments. It's about the tools, the resources, the instruments that we have within our traditions, within our cultures, to actually support better health. Health because my focus is health, not that it's the only thing that it does. And so, yes, I'm really excited. We're going to do this in two parts. The first part, we're going to look at different indigenous instruments that Pops will just be discussing. And in the second part, I will go through music and tradition and how it can potentially help us, and give an example of this. And we will then go through a session listening to music that will help us to heal.
I'd like to ask you guys a question. Has any one of you been exposed to indigenous African instruments, either growing up as a child or at any point of your life? Or do you know of anyone in your family or your grandfather or grandmother or anyone who plays or has been exposed to indigenous instruments? And if so, how do you feel about it?
Yeah. My mother is Wendy Oldfield.
Oh, my best friend.
She's told me a lot about you, and she's played with indigenous artists for her whole career. So I grew up listening to a lot of it and touring with her all over South Africa. So that's my background.
I played with Wendy all the time when she was living in African Street. I think he was still a kid then. Yeah. Okay, anyone else?
I know that African instruments are very welcomed at the UCT Jazz School.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of been my exposure where I did my undergrad, just infiltrating with music students and really seeing people who have been separated from Ghanaian ancestry, for example, just tapping back into that because they have the instruments to do so, and that was quite powerful to see.
Okay. Thinking back to my youth, when I was still a kid, and all these sounds that I've heard, either in the street or passing a shebeen or something, they've never been recorded. What would it be like if I start recreating those sounds? And also as a contribution to protect and preserve indigenous African instruments. Because I also noticed that the radio stations stopped playing pure, undiluted African music. Music from the West just took over then. Rock and roll, Elvis Presley, Lucius Navy, Cliff Richards in the Shadows. So they gave, I mean, this is what the radios were playing. We heard less and less and less of those instruments, of those musics. So I decided that I'm going to go on a mission and buy some records of indigenous music and see. So I went to every single record store, and they didn't have what I wanted. If I'm looking for what I heard as a kid, like any music on Mbira, no, what's that? No, any music on look at the sand people from the Kalahari Desert, you know, on these channels, we used to see the sand. Whenever you see, you know, documentaries of the sand, you just see them with the bow and arrows. And I said, there's got to be something more to this than just watching them hunting animals, but about the musical side. He says, what? I want to listen to that guy. He said, oh no, that's just a shepherd. I said, yes, that's what I want. I got out of the car, out of the taxi, and I went up to the guy and I said to him that, what's the name of this instrument? And he said, it's a seagull. It's a broomstick, a very long broomstick,
Right.
and it's got a quill on the one end,
Right.
you know, either feather from a chicken or something, and it's tied with a string right in the center to the other side. So what they would do is they'll blow onto the quill, very difficult, and like, and it gives us a sound like a harmonica, beautiful sound. So they used to entertain themselves the whole day just playing that, playing into the animals, you know, to the sheep, goats, whatever it is. And I went to the taxi driver, I said, look, it's okay, how much do I owe you? So I paid him and I said to this guy, I came to learn to play this instrument. And he said, I'm not so good. So we went to a taxi rank somewhere and there was all these guys sitting there, wheeling and dealing. You know, you could get a free passport, you could buy a passport for so much, you could buy this, and all this, you know, all this stuff just going on there. So I'm sitting there in the tent and I'm just going like this, what if the cops come in here, you know, so. But anyway, so this shepherd spoke to these guys and he told them about me, and later on, after they've done what they had to do, they all pulled out their seals and they started playing. It was just something out of this world. You know, I spent the whole afternoon following, asking questions and things like that, and they gave me one. I stayed for 2 days and I came back. That's the beginning of my journey. So Andrew Tracy told me, I want to introduce you to the Impira. Have you ever played an Impira? I said, no, I know the Impira, but I haven't. And I bought one from him. And his wife, I'll never forget, she came all the way from Johannesburg to come and drop it off at my place. And it's still here. It's quite old. You know, it's falling apart, patching it and all that. It gives the most beautiful sound. So that's my journey. So I went from village to village over the years, collecting indigenous African instruments and people teaching me. And even my friends told me, like, listen, brother, you're taking us back to the bush now. There's no way that you'll be making any money. You'll be starving to death. I said, well, if that's what it's going to take, then so be it. You know, I have this mission. I really want to, because I fell in love with the instruments. Even the people that taught me, some of them were saying, our kids are not interested in this anymore. You know, they listen to Western music. So it's an honor for us to see someone coming from the city wanting this knowledge. So, and that's how I started collecting, taught myself, and then I put a band together, great musicians, like using a keyboard player, bass, drummer, keyboard, bass, drummer, saxophone player, and then I just played indigenous instruments. So our very first gig, let's say, with the band was at Kippies. I wasn't sure if the people are going to accept it or whatever it is. But funny enough, because Kippies played jazz, you know, and then I came with something totally new. And I thought that, of course, this is going to be a flop, man. There was a band played before us, and the band was just kicking. I don't know who they are. And I thought, gosh, I can't compare to this. You know, people are just going to change me off. I mean, this band was really hot. I don't remember who they were. But anyway, we got onto stage and I introduced myself and people knew me as Pops babysitting these instruments and we started playing. And funny enough, the crowd was very quiet, not confused, but very intrigued. Like, what is he trying to do now? We did our full set, and all of a sudden, when we finished playing, no one said anything during the concert. They were quiet. And at the end of our set, there was a roaring applause, unbelievable standing ovation. And I think that was the beginning of my journey, and since then I've been getting interviews, radio stations inviting me, lots of journalists and so on. Then I did my very first recording using an Ibira on an album called Sophia Town Society, that's right. And there was a track called From Zimbabwe to Soweto, where I used the Ibira, but there was a style that was very hip at the time in the township. It was called the Bamcha. Real Makanga Kwela music, but there was a way people used to dance, Bamcha, that's what they call it, where the guy dances and touches the lady's bum, and she touches his bum, and they turn and all that. So Bamcha was very, very popular at the time. So I used the Ibira as a melodic instrument and not as a backing instrument, because a lot of people, when they see indigenous instrument, they think it's percussion, but you can use them as a lead instrument. So I used the Ibira there on this track, and it just swept through all the townships. The track became very, very successful. And I bumped into Johnny Clark, and he said to me, "You've hit the right, you've just hit the spot, just keep on doing that, And I never looked back since then, So we started traveling, and I traveled around the world, all over the place. And even when Nelson Mandela was sworn in as president, South Africa became like flavor of the month. So many bands got a lot of work abroad, traveling all the time. We were never in the country. Going to Vietnam, Hong Kong, Zanzibar, London, you just name it. So it was happening there. And even there also I've learned a lot. When I went to Helsinki, I also bought some of their indigenous instruments. I went from Helsinki, we flew to Rovaniemi, which is like right at the Arctic Circle, Centerland. And there we met the Samis, indigenous people there. So it's funny because they're also Finnish, but the Finns themselves, because they're quite short. I would say Lapland is the opposite of the Kalahari Desert, We got a gig there. In fact, one of the ladies at the school where we were doing workshops, they organized a workshop for us in Lapland. And she said to me that you must just be careful. Once you guys have done your set, don't let the people abuse you, because those people drink a lot and they do this and they do that and they do that, blah, blah, blah. And you're saying all the bad things. I said, well, if it's so bad, what are you guys sending us? So you just have to be, they can often be overbearing, I said, okay. I was with Bruce Cassidy at the time. So we went, and right at the Arctic Circle, and it was amazing. When we met these people, they were one of the most loveliest people that I've ever met. Very short, very interesting. We did our performance, they listened and they loved it, I remember, I'll never forget, the gig was at 12 o'clock at night, and it was summer, and the sun never goes down.
Right.
I never knew that. I said 12 o'clock at night, so I thought it might get dark around about 9 o'clock or so, but just stayed light. And 11:30 we sat at this hotel, and I asked the guy, what's happening? Doesn't the sun go down here? He said, no. Maybe around about 1 o'clock, it will just go down the horizon and it comes up again. And that would be the darkest. So there's no one at the hotel, and all of a sudden, around about 12 chases at us and funny things. We performed and the people loved it, and they asked us to play some more. We played some more. I asked Bruce, do you like it? He says, I'm actually enjoying this. You know, this is like being in the townships. Anyway, I said, yes, we could be anywhere in the township. So we played an extra hour for these people, and we met them, and they were the most loveliest people. So I learned a lot about their culture as well. You know, their totem spirits, you know, how they believe in the brown bear, and also their chants and things like that. That was an amazing opportunity for me when I went there. I went twice again after that with someone else. And here I am today, still preaching the preservation of indigenous instruments, infusing them. The reason why I'm taking this so seriously is that I don't want in 50 years our great-grandchildren walking in a museum and seeing all these instruments, saying to the grandfather, you know, what's that? And he says, oh, that they used to play 50, 60 years ago. There was a guy called Pops Mohamed who played it. But who plays it now? No one is playing it, you know. So I went to museums where I found instruments that's not being used anymore.
Right.
Yeah, you know. There's no connection. We don't know where it came from. So I'm very intrigued by those as well, trying to build them again and follow. So I'd like to start off with an Ibira. This is the Zimbabwean Ibira. It's a 14-15 note Ibira, which is called Nguni. That's what they call it, Nguni. But also in the English term, they call it African tuned Ibira. I don't know what they mean when they say African tuned, because it has got the tonic sulfur in it, you know. But I'll just play you a demonstration. This is one of the oldest instruments around in terms of indigenous instruments. I read somewhere that the Queen of Sheba came to Zimbabwe and she went to the ruins. Yeah, you know, and they started digging there, and they found Ibiras that was all the archaeologists. They found Ibiras that was almost 100 years old, and also found that these Ibiras had the tonic sulfur, which is when you study music, the first thing they're going to teach you is the tonic sulfur, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. But it was already there long before the piano or the harpsichord came into existence. So it was borrowed by the West, and they used that, you know, as a tonic sulfur, which made pretty good sense, you know, in playing tunes and playing chords and so on. So I was quite, I didn't know that Queen Sheba came to Zimbabwe, and there are many forms of this particular instrument. You'll find this one, this is made by Andrew Tracy at Grahamstown, but you find the homemade one that's in a calabash, which sounds much better. But I like this one as well. And there's a story a friend of mine told me. Actually, he died, one of the best Mbira players. He told me a story that if a young boy at school fancies a girl, the first thing he would want to do is learn to play the Mbira.
I would have been impressed.
Because the girls, I mean, they grow up listening to Mbira music at their homes, wherever they go in the rural areas. So a young boy would usually go to an Mbira player and say, "Can you teach me a song? You know, I have this girlfriend, and I'd like to carry her books back home after school." And then every day we'd go and, you know, start learning this tune. So So now keep telling me. So I've got my mirror and it's neatly wrapped up in a white cloth, and I'm making sure that she's comfortable. I feel comfortable. The reason why I asked you to come here to show me, to get the Coke and the gingerbread, I want to play you the song. She wants me to play for you the song. Yeah. So, what do you like, Coca-Cola or Coca-Cola? Oh, wait, bring the Coke, and you want bread or ginger cake or bring the ginger cake, Coke and ginger cake for the lady. Hurry up, please. You okay?
I'm fine.
You fine?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. See, I play nice and soft. It's soft like your hands. So I play the soft notes. But the kalimba has become very popular throughout the world and very easy to play as well. It's so simple to play this thing. There's a song that I usually teach young kids, a lullaby. It's called Tula Baba Tula. Tula, Tula Baba Tula. Tula Baba Tula. Tula Baba. Tula, Tula Baba Tula. Tula Baba Tula. Tula Baba. Who would like to play? Any volunteers? Yeah? So the one, the red one. Red one. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. It's just for you to get a feel of the instrument. 1, 2, 3. Try that. Don't press too hard, just gently. Thank you. Thank you. I don't think this was from Grahamstown. This was probably made overseas. Just looking at the way they made it and even the notes. But it's a pentatonic scale. It hasn't got the tonic so far. So easy to play because the notes, you don't have to guess, you don't have to do any guesswork. Because every note is just there, you can just do what you want with it. This is what I like about it. There's no bump notes. Anyone would like to try this? How about playing 1, 2, 3, 4? No, alternate with your thumb. And then backwards. Yeah. So can you use a time? Okay. 2, 3, 4. Big hand. So actually we were visiting a friend's place, Mr. J. Knight, I don't know if you know him. And in the back of his yard he's got this bush, lots of bamboo and stuff like that. And there was a lady, one of their friends, who had a mouth bow that's similar to this one, but it wasn't bamboo. So I asked her, I said to her, is that a Swati mouth bow? She said, yes, I'm from Swaziland. She played it. And I got inspired, like, I want to make one of those. So I took the bamboo from the garden, cut this piece off, and this is also bamboo. It's all hollow inside. So obviously the resonating is much more better because it's hollow on the inside. So I made this. It took me about 2 weeks to make it and also to get the right string. And the way to do it is you assemble this while it is still green. So what you do is I've cut into the bamboo here and I pushed this stick in there, which was still straight. Because it's still green, I just twisted it slightly, almost like 90 degrees, 45 degrees, and then tied a normal string from the one end to the other end. left it for about a week to dry naturally. So after a week it dried up, and I took the string off, and it had the shape, this shape. So and I put some glue in here just to keep it nice and tight there, and I got this wire, which I bought from a hardware store, and this is what it actually sounds like. It's not good for performing on a stage because the band would just kill it, but I use it in my studio for recordings and stuff like that. Yeah, I quite like this one. It has the overtones. You can hear the harmonics coming through my mouth as I move my tongue, you know. So yeah, I'm actually quite chuffed about this one. I'd like to make a bigger one. Yeah. And then I've got also brought with me. It's called Uhadi.
We're going to have 10 more minutes before we have to get ready for the next.
Right.
We've got 10 more minutes left.
Okay. This is the Uhadi, which is played by the Xhosa ladies, predominantly from the Eastern Cape. The calabash that they use, like at the bottom there, and this is how they do to get the harmonics. And sometimes they would pinch it at the bottom to get two tones. There's another one similar to this one, which is actually used by the Zulus, where the calabash is tied in the center, and then it's got a string so it gives two tones like dum 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 dum. So apparently, in the days of Dingaan and Chaka, the local ladies there, always wanted to see their daughters get married in the royal families. You know, if you get married in the king's court, I mean, your family is sorted, you know, for the rest of their lives. So the mothers used to teach their daughters how to play it's called makwea, not this one, makwea very well. Apparently that's what they did. And when the prince, when he's looking for a lady to get married, they would gather all these young girls who can play the makwea So they would gather them, and they would each one come and perform, do their pieces, you know, and play the thing, and dancing and singing and all that. So that's how he used to choose his wife, you know, or the kings would choose a second wife by the way they can play the instrument. So that adds to the culture of their children. If they have children, that the children will get to know the culture much more better. And it's also beneficial for the girl's family, because then they're moving from the farms into the royal family. So slaves were taken, that was during the days of slavery, where they were taken to Angola, you know, people were taken as slaves. And some people ended up in Brazil, the men, and they took these instruments with them, the maquia, took it. And over the years, it wasn't a female instrument anymore, it became a male instrument, because they brought the calabash right down to the bottom. And this is what the Brazilians use today for capoeira. And they have a small, you know, the bow that they play. Yeah, so that's capoeira. And if you ask the Brazilians, they'll tell you, this dates back to Africa, it's not our, it's not our instrument, it came from Africa. They would say that it used to be a female instrument, but now it's predominantly a male instrument. And still played pretty much in the same fashion, except they keep the calabash on the stomach, and then have a coin in his hand, between two fingers to alternate the sounds. And that's how they play capoeira. Yeah. How much time we still have?
Yeah, actually, not this time. 5 more minutes, I think, to end.
Yeah, okay. Okay. I'll quickly get the call.
I think stories are so lovely, though. It's like you just want to continue to listen.
Everyone probably knows the call. I bought this one in 1998 when Salif Keita first came to South Africa. He had 2 kora players with him. The one's name was Dembo Conte, and the other one is Kause Kuyate. He didn't know I was a musician, so when I thought that, I'll never get the instrument, I invited them to my house. I said, well, the least you could do, can you come to my house? Just come and have, lunch. And they came, and then they said, no, they prefer to cook their own lunch. So they took them to the supermarket, and they bought, spices and things, and they cooked really nice West African food. And then after that, they fell asleep. Sleeping. And my partner at the time, and I said, what's going on? He said, yes, it's very hot in West Africa. This time of the afternoon, they sleep. Okay, so 5 o'clock they got up, and then I took them into my studio, and when they saw all the musical instruments, it was so fascinating. Like, the little kids in the candy store, and they just loved the instruments. Are you a musician? I said, yes, I'm a musician. And he says, man, I'd really love to sell you the instrument, but our manager, she's in London, and we've got a concert tomorrow night. We have an early morning flight to London. And if we come there without our instruments, that's going to be a big problem. So I said, oh, yes. The manager, she's a she. He said, yes. Now, there was a time when I lived in London. London used to be like my second home. And the only person that I knew who produced albums for Tumani Diabate and other kora players, the lady, ethnomusicologist, specializing in the kora, and done numerous trips to West Africa, is Lucy Duran. And I said, are you talking about Lucy ran from Soas. Yes, 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 that's the one. Do you know Lucy? I said, of course I know Lucy. You know, so I jumped on the phone and I called Lucy. And she said, Pops, man, you must look out for my boys. You know, I've got two guys playing kora. I said, I want to play the kora and these guys are in my house. She said, really? I said, yes. She said, She said, okay, give him the phone. So I gave Jumbo the phone and they started talking and then she probably said to him, give it to him, you know. And she said, are you sure you want to play the kora? I said, yes. She said, who's going to teach you? I said, I don't know, I'll just teach myself. You know, but I want to have the kora. So he charged me £300, which was a lot of money. And even today, it's a lot of money, you know. So luckily I had pounds because I've been traveling back and forth to London. And I gave him £300. So his brother-in-law, the other guy, Kausu, is married to his sister. He said, you can have mine also. So I said, okay. So I took it, you know, and I paid them. And they said, don't tell Lucy. You charge. You know, so no, it's fine, don't worry, it's okay. It's worth it. So if you add, 25 years when I bought it from him, he made it himself. If you count it up to now, how many years does it make? 40 something years. But they never taught me, they just played a few things and I couldn't even film them because they were so fast. And the only thing they taught me was how to fix the instrument when it plays and the strings play. So that's important, you know. So that's all I got from them, you know. They were in a hurry anyway, they had to go back to their hotel. And there I sat and I was intimidated for, gosh, almost 1.5 years. When I walk into the room, I just look at the kora and say, then finally I said, no, and I paid £300. You know? And so it was tuned in a West African style called Salima. It's a different tuning. So I took a tape recorder and I taped the tuning because obviously I want to detune the kora. I was listening to Andres Vollenweider's music at the time and I said, well, you know, I'd like to get the tuning of a harp. So I took the tuning out and recorded the original tuning, which I still have on a cassette. And then I started working out how to tune it, playing my guitar, getting the notes, and started tuning the instrument up. And I tuned it in the tonic solfa. Although many people have been saying, when are you releasing the Long African Journey? It's just, I don't know, I just don't want to let go, you know. So I feel I still need to do some more with it. Yeah. But later on we will